Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin update. Like usual, I'm giving you an analysis that no one is looking at, guys. No one is really understanding what's happening here on Bitcoin in the medium-term time frame. Yes, we have seen a breakdown. Yes, the direction of the short term is downwards, but no one's understanding the fact that we're actually in a bullish structure right now. We're in a bullish channel formation, descending channel formation, which does indicate that we can go downwards further. And we do have a bearish bat formation, a harmonic pattern. We'll look at that in the video. That does indicate we will go downwards a little bit further. But the point is, this channel is bullish and it will break to the upside most likely eventually. So this correction is actually nothing to be worried about at this point in time. And this new evidence via this channel coming out has supported that. We're going to look into that channel. We're going to look into the measured moves from that channel, when it will break to the upside. And we're also going to look into, again, the monthly candle close happening in just 3 days and how the bearish formation on short term, that's generally bad, right, actually gives us a bullish, result on the monthly candle. I'm going to show you that in a second. Now, what I mean by that is that this bearish formation, although bearish, does indicate short-term upwards price action before we go downwards, and we only need short-term upwards price action because the monthly candle is closing in 3 days, and so long as we close above the critical level, it doesn't matter what happens after that. Guys, lots to discuss in this video, lots of intricate, hidden analysis that no one's ever looked at, really. I mean, I haven't seen anyone on crypto YouTube talk about things like this before, and so I'm going to be showing you for the first time, most likely. So guys, let's get into the video. I'm going to break this video into 2 segments, and segment 1 is probably the one you're here for. It's the hidden structure on Bitcoin, but segment 2 is actually equally as important. So first and foremost, what has Bitcoin done? I'm going to show you the hidden structure in a second. What has Bitcoin done recently? Well, recently it's done this. It's kind of come up into this range. It's got a range between this red line here and this green line here, 24.5k and 32k roughly. In between that level is the range we've been ranging in since March 2023. We're aware of this by now. Everyone's aware of this by now. It's been 4 months, right? And we came down, we bounced off the bottom of the range, we went upwards massively once more, and we formed a bearish structure. The structure we formed was an ascending, broadening wedge formation with a horizontal support line at the bottom of the formation and a diagonal uptrending support line, or an ascending support line at the top of the formation, which is ultimately a bearish structure. It's a pattern of exhaustion. It's very unlikely to break to the upside because obviously it's very hard to break a line to the upside that is uptrending. It's just you need a lot of momentum to do so. So we ended up breaking it to the downside as expected. And right now we're kind of just lurking below it. And we're in a range in which a lot of people would say that, okay, well, what we're doing right now is a bearish resistance support flip. That's what people would say. They'd say we're broken down from this structure, we're ranging below it, we're going to see a bearish resistance support flip, we're going to go downwards further to the nearest support at 28.5k. And that is a reasonable assumption to make, and I have no problem with that assumption at all, in fact. I actually don't think that's wrong. I think that's got a lot of weight. But here's the thing. People think that this is a top. They think that this is an M formation of some sort. This is a top. We're going to go down all the way over here, or potentially even break down even further than 24k. I do not think that is substantiated by the evidence at all, and I'm going to show you exactly why. Yes, we are going downwards, but in a similar fashion to how we were going downwards in April, right? We were going downwards in April. Yes, we went downwards quite massively, but how did we go downwards in April, guys? We formed a descending wedge formation in April, something like that, okay? A pattern of which, I think it's drawn slightly differently, I can't remember, but a pattern of which, yes, we're correcting, and we did correct massively. We went downwards over the course of a month and a half. We went downwards 20%. That's a big correction, but it was ultimately a bullish structure. And the entire time during this correction, I was sitting here and I was saying, yes, we're going downwards. We've got major support and we're in a bullish structure. We're going to break to the upside eventually. And look what we did. We broke to the upside. I'm going to tell you the exact same thing now. Yes, we are going downwards, guys. That is true. But if we're actually looking at what this structure is fundamentally, we can flip over to a different chart. We can flip over to the hourly chart, for example, and this is just a zoomed in version of what I just showed you. Okay, you can see the ascending broadening wedge over here, and you can see a fresh structure, a new structure. I'm going to make it pink so you can see it. What we actually have, even though we're correcting, even though we're going downwards, is a hidden bullish structure. It is a descending channel formation. It's actually basically an descending wedge, because they're not actually parallel lines, but they're so close to parallel that I'm just going to call it a channel for the sake of simplicity. So yes, this is the hourly chart, and if we zoomed out, we can show you the same thing. Yes, we are downtrending. Yes, we have been downtrending since the 14th of July, around 2 weeks, but ultimately we are downtrending in a bullish structure. We are downtrending in a structure in which we've had 4 retests, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the bottom side of a structure and 2 retests of the top side of a structure, which is more than enough to make it a valid structure. It is a descending channel formation, and much like the descending wedge formation we were seeing between the month of April and the month of June, okay, much like that 2-month descending wedge formation of downwards price action, but it was still bullish when we broke to the upside, we're seeing the exact same thing now. All right, downwards price action, yes, but we will most likely break this to the upside. The question is, okay, will we come down and retest the bottom of the channel before we go up as a break to the upside, or will we break to the upside right now? Now, this is a question that has a little bit of nuance, right? This is a question that's a little bit complicated to answer, and this is where we can really get into the second segment of the video. Now, first and foremost, we know that Bitcoin has major support, okay? We know that Bitcoin has major support between like 27K and 29K, and it's just accumulated in that region. There's huge buying orders between that region. We know that for a fact. And we know that Bitcoin is compressing massively. We look at the Bollinger Bands, we're seeing a big compression, which is indicative of a massive move coming. This is the weekly chart, for example. But, you know, even if we look at something like the monthly chart, we look at the Bollinger Bands on the monthly chart, we've only ever seen, guys, this is important. Listen to what I'm about to say here. We've only ever seen, 3 periods, okay, of significant Bollinger Band compression before 2023, okay? We saw one over here. We saw one way back here in 2012, almost too early for it to even be accounted for. But ultimately, we saw one in 2016, one in 2020, and now we're seeing one again. 3 periods, okay, of Bollinger Band compression on the monthly chart. And every single time we see Bollinger Band compression on the monthly chart, it leads to a parabolic macro move to the upside, okay? Macro move to the upside here, macro move to the upside there. We are seeing that compression again. Now, obviously, 2 times isn't enough to make a trend. We don't know if it will be the kickoff of the bull market. Generally, we only see the bull market after the halving, so it's unlikely. But it certainly could be a kickoff for bullish price action. And the fact that we're seeing compression on the weekly chart, okay, that we just looked at, compression on the weekly chart and compression on the monthly chart at the same time, while we are following the 4-year cycle and while we are on macro support, is very bullish, especially considering, even if we're looking at a daily chart, and we go very short term, a daily chart, what have we got? We've got a bullish structure of a daily chart. All of this stuff is lining up for a good move to the upside. The problem is, we don't know whether it will be exactly right now or whether it will be in a week or 2 weeks. That's the problem. We don't know when exactly it will be. We also know, in regards to compression that we're seeing, we also know for a fact that we're seeing a very strong compression on the logarithmic charts. If we're looking at 3-day chart here, it doesn't necessarily have to be 3-day, but this is just an example. What do we have? We have a very big triangle formation with a macro uptrending line in logarithmic and a macro downtrending line in logarithmic, both coming together and forming an apex of a triangle, right? The end of the triangle in around the 1st of September, meaning that in the month of August, okay, which is coming up right now, in 2 days we're seeing August. In the month of August, we're going to be seeing a massive move where it's going to be either upwards or it's going to be downwards. And we know for a fact now that we have a bullish structure on short term. We know for a fact that we have massive support on the macro. We know for a fact that we're following the 4-year cycle theory. I'll ask you this question. What way do you think it will be? I'll tell you right now, I think it's going to be upwards. And I think we're going to see a massive upwards move in August. Before we get ahead of ourselves though, because that's something to discuss in August, right? But I'm just telling you now so you're aware of it. There's huge compression. I mean, really big compression, right? And after compression, you see a big move. All the indicators are suggesting that move is going to be upwards. But what about the short term? What about what happens next? Because obviously, as you guys know, just like with the descending channel we're seeing, we can move downwards first. We can retest the bottom first before moving upwards. And we do have massive support at the bottom. For example, we have support at 50 SMA, 200 SMA, etc. To bounce from that region. I don't think it's likely to break below it, but we can move downwards first. Now, monthly candle is what I really want to look at here, because monthly candle is closing in 3 days. And guys, I discussed it in yesterday's video. I'm discussing it again now. We have a trend on the monthly chart. Much like we have 4-year cycle trends, we have a trend on the monthly chart, a cyclical trend in terms of a structural trend, right? A trend in which we see very strong support form during the bull market. Okay, we eventually break to the downside, we go downwards, we form support again. Okay, it's happened 3 times now. Very strong support during the bull market, we go downwards, we bottom out in the yellow support, we break upwards again. Okay, same thing happened here. Very strong support during the bull market, we break downwards, we bottom out in the yellow support, and we break upwards again. Okay, so the red line is kind of like the bull market support zone, and the yellow line is kind of like the bear market support zone that leads to the bottom. That's happened 3 times. Right now, we've come up and we've broken above the red line after briefly rejecting from it. You know, if you look at the candle in the month of April here, we briefly rejected from it. We went down and saw a correction. We broke back up, and now we're testing it for support right now. We are holding this right now. Okay, we're holding this line right now. Now, the bottom of that line is at 28.8K. So basically, what we need to be seeing over the next 3 days, okay? Before we can really get ahead of ourselves and before we can say, oh, get keen for a bullish August, get keen for a bullish August, we're going to break to the upside, it's going to be massive. Before we can actually say that with any degree of, not necessarily any degree of confidence, but before we can go ahead and just run to the horses about it, whatever the saying is, okay? We have to be logical and we have to understand there is a hurdle we need to jump first. And the hurdle we need to jump is the monthly candle close. The hurdle we need to jump is whether we close above 28.8k on the monthly chart or not. Because if we do not, we are dropping back below a previous resistance zone and we're breaking back into the bearish range. We need to maintain above that bearish range. We need to be seeing a monthly candle close above 28.8k before we can really do anything. Okay? That's what we need to be seeing. I believe we will see that. I believe we'll see that. If we go to the short term, we can look into it a bit more. I believe we will see that because if we're looking at where 28.8k is, where is 28.8k? I'll draw a blue line at it. 28.8k, which is what we need to hold, really, is over here. This is the blue line at 28.8k. And this vertical line here is when the monthly candle is closing. So basically what I'm saying is that before we reach this rectangle, okay, before we reach, this vertical line, we need to be above this blue line. Okay, we need to be above the horizontal blue line by the time we reach the vertical line, because that's when the monthly candle closes. Now, will Bitcoin be able to do that? Well, this is where the bearish bat formation comes in. What I have here on the screen is a bearish harmonic pattern. Okay, I'm going to bring up a photo so I can show you exactly what that means, what exactly that is. A bearish harmonic pattern is this kind of pattern here. It looks like a double bottom, but it's not. It's got where you've got an elevated low. Let's get the pen up so I can show you. You've got a W formation kind of, but you've got the first low was slightly lower than the second one, and then you move upwards again, and then you drop down afterwards. That is what we're seeing right now, a bearish harmonic pattern. Now, although this bearish harmonic pattern is bearish, and it does indicate that we see potentially a breakout of this this descending channel formation before a move downwards, something like that, and then potentially going upwards from there. So it is a bearish pattern. It does suggest we go downwards. It does suggest we at least retest for lows, but potentially we break out first and then come down to retest later, something like that. It's very hard to say at this point in time, but the fact of the matter is this pattern is here in the same way that the descending channel pattern is. And what I'm basically saying, I know I'm confusing myself a little bit here when I'm speaking, but what I'm basically saying is this: even though we have a bearish harmonic pattern, even though we have this bearish pattern here, this bearish pattern that we have does indicate that we move upwards in the short term, which does put us in a very good position to close above this horizontal line by the time we reach the vertical line, by the time the monthly candle close. So even if we're in a bearish pattern, which we are, okay, this bearish pattern is likely to move to the upside, which buys us more time, which makes it more likely that we see a bullish monthly candle close, which makes it more likely that we see a bullish August and a break to the upside in August. I hope that makes sense. Honestly, if you want to be completely simplistic about it, okay, you can go ahead and delete this bearish harmonic pattern altogether and just forget about it because it's not actually important and it's not even it's valid, but it's not like something that's as valid as this descending channel formation. I mean, this is undeniable. That's a speculative pattern, the harmonic pattern. All we need to know about Bitcoin right now, this is literally all you need to know about Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin right now has broken below a structure. It is failing to break back above the structure. Yes, we are seeing strong resistance. Yes, we are seeing a bearish resistance support flip. Overall, though, we do need to remember we're in a very bullish structure on a long term. This pink wet channel is a bullish structure on the long term, regardless of the bearishness we're seeing on short term. And even if we do go downwards, it is very likely we bounce off the bottom of the wedge and break it to the upside at some point in the future. So even though we are seeing short-term bearishness, the medium term is very bullish, and the macro is undeniably bullish as we looked on the weekly chart, as we looked on the 3-day chart, and as we could potentially be seeing on the monthly chart. The only thing we need to be concerned about right now, I'm being completely honest, the only thing we need to be concerned about right now is 28.8k and holding that and being above it at the time of the monthly candle close. Guys, I hope I've brought you some unique analysis by showing you this bullish wedge, this bullish channel wedge. I keep calling it the wrong thing. I guess it's a channel, right? This bullish channel. I hope I've shown you that. Not many people are talking about that right now, and it should wake you up to the fact that even though we're in a corrective move, much like what we were over here, even though we're in a corrective move, it actually is bullish, and it actually will probably break to the upside overall. That is what's happening on Bitcoin, guys. Before we end the video, please, guys, check out the Bitget exchange. We've got 5 times lower fees than the Binance and this exchange. Cheapest exchange on the market if you're taking into account the 15% trading fee discount you will get by signing up using my referral link. You'll also get access to an exclusive reward center in which you can do various tasks to gain thousands of dollars in USDT bonuses on the exchange. Sign up to this exchange, use my referral link, gain access to all those rewards and perks. It's the best way to help yourself as a trader, best way to get on a good exchange, and best way to help the channel. Also got Crypto Academy, guys. If you want to learn how to trade, you can do it on the Crypto Academy. This is a course developed by myself and Mega Crypto, aiming to educate people in the market. Because let me tell you one thing, mate. People need education in this market. There's a lot of clueless traders, a lot of clueless people throwing money around gambling. They need education, and this is what we're offering here. So if you're interested in the course, check out the website. All the information's on there. And finally, on the topic of education, it's not really the same thing, but we do have a VIP group. I have a VIP group on Telegram. I give you guys altcoin trading signals with entry requirements, with stop loss requirements, with take profit suggestions, etc., targets, all that kind of stuff. On altcoins, we have a 79.3% win rate, which is very, very high. That's 4 out of every 5 trades are profitable. Check that out. All the information's in the description below for the VIP group, for Bitget Exchange, for Crypto Academy. It's all there. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.